because I can see your whole face, Clint. It looks. Oh man!
Look at Clint bottom feeding.
All right, we're done. That's the best comment of the night. We got to go.
Window liquor.
Wait.
Oh my god! All right, well, we're just gonna go. Okay, Clint, you have to do the video.
I have to do the video.
We don't have it, so we don't have time. That's all I'm saying. Like,
Oh,
so we have
gotcha.
Whatever. Everybody, welcome to Geek Together. We're getting started a little bit late here. We lost track of time. We were sitting here bullshitting, and oh shit, we should be live. Christina joined late, threw me all off. Clint barely got here.
Right, there you go.
I'm blaming everybody. I'm throwing everybody under the bus. I'm taking zero accountability. It's great. That's what I do on the weekend. It's different than my day job. So I work in IT. I get blamed for every single thing all the time. So it's nice to throw everybody else under the bus. Welcome. And shout out to the chat. Gary, nice to see you. Mountain Meg, nice to see you. Bean Largent will be here in a little bit. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. I can't wait to discuss there. I mean, we have a lot of questions about mold making and her designs and her artwork and everything like that. So she'll be here shortly. But to get things started while we're waiting, why don't we talk about what we got new that we love this week? He's right into it. And you know what? I don't know. Christine, did you get anything? Do you have anything?
I actually have something, but just a second.
All right.
I do have something.
Well, what is it?
She's taking it out.
Oh, that's a nice vent.
That is a nice.
It's nice and clean.
Yeah. Oh, look at that fan.
Oh, what a beautiful fan. It's nice lighting.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to move the chair out of the way, and
You never know what's going on back there.
right,
You
anyway.
never know.
It's true.
All right, Christina.
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You went through all that effort. Yeah.
This is what we got this week.
Yeah.
From Clint.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Clint hooked it up. He snacked it off the shop when we weren't able to get one, and sent it our way. We got it in the mail this weekend. He also sent me a pin. I don't have it with me here, but a leftover toys pin, a ribbit ice cream variant.
Anyway, it's beautiful. The different colors. Like, I don't know if you can see the gradient in there. How it's like clearer and more yellow at the top,
Mm-hmm.
and then that has more orange, and then there you go.
I had the luxury today of losing the lottery.
Yeah, I think we all did. I think we all took L's except
the
for
only
our
one
friend
we
Eva.
saw was Eva from our group that won.
Yep.
And
Anyway.
One of the sad things, we all had about a 20% chance of winning, and we all lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sucks.
yeah. Gary
Except
lost
Eva.
too.
Now, see, the one thing I don't know if Jamie's watching. Shout out to Jamie, of course, as we're praising her.
Well, we're on her must-see list. Of
Right, I'm sure. But I do like I like the eyes more solid than the sparkling that has like the sparkly eyes in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a personal preference, but just saying.
Well, today I'm drinking from the Christina series. I'm drinking a peach Melba sour a la mode.
The Christina series, and that's what Christina got you.
As in, when she went to the store, she picked it out because the can looked pretty.
That is
usually what
true,
happens,
Gary.
yes.
Usually, she picks my beer based on what the can looks like.
Yep.
I mean, works for me. I have no argument.
I find
right.
you all sorts of interesting stuff that way. But
Right?
We all lost the Stitch Chase Gamble too. I didn't even get the Stitch. I feel like a bad friend now, but you would have just gotten more commons.
Obviously. But apparently,
I
the
did- I
secret
did-
was to order one because I feel like I've seen a number of posts where they ordered
This
one.
was the Stitch I did get for Gary. Look at that.
Ooh, that's
Isn't
nice.
that nice sleeping Stitch until you turn it around.
Oh,
what's amazing is the actual shipping box was
God.
perfect.
Oh,
Shipping
And
God.
then this is what Hot Topic did. Oh, by the way, the outer box was perfect. The sorter and this was crunched to death.
wow! Wow!
Like they
All
could have
right.
just not thrown it in a box. It was ridiculous.
Yep.
Thank you for adding a
Can't do any
little,
worse to it. I got
a little
They just-
positive there.
Davey
Uncle
just
Fanatic,
throws it
you're right.
in. Yeah, it's garbage. Anyway,
garbage now. What am I going to do with it? Can't send that to Gary. Gary has standards. It's not his fault.
You're gonna take it out of the box and give it to Peyton.
There you go.
It's what you're gonna do.
There we go. Yeah, I'll give it to Peyton. Peyton will love it out anyway. She doesn't appreciate the boxes.
Some people's kids.
Some people's kids. All right. Well, since I'm on me, I'm going to show you what I got.
My kids appreciate the boxes, just saying.
I know.
We have video proof of it too.
It's so
Grow
funny.
up, people. All right, look. This is what I got this week.
Oh, look at that guy.
Megatech, Mr. Come Come. Black and gold, baby.
I was gonna say, he's got the cold. Yep.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
I have the regular size of that one. It's nice.
Yeah, I know. Like I didn't get the regular size. I went big.
Yeah.
Mega.
Yeah.
I want the Megatech.
That's what she said.
Nah.
Apparently.
It is a
Did the
nice
head
one,
come
though.
off? What's going on with the head there?
It is
The head
kind of.
does come off.
Oh shit! Yeah.
No, they're all like that.
No, they all. do
Oh,
this.
okay. All right.
It does. They do
broke.
turn. It
Unless you
is.
got shit by Hot Topic. I don't know.
Well, no, that's just the box.
Well, the box is perfect on this sucker. But anyway, this is what I got this week. I haven't bought a tech in a long time, but when I saw this live, I got an announcement from I forget which.
I am
retailer
retro
it was.
or
Yeah, I am retro. They text
Okay.
me. I sign up for text messages for them, so I get these texts, and it works. But I love this thing. It's really cool. I like the
It's
design,
cool.
the skeleton. I mean, black and gold is always worth 30% more.
always.
Always. Yeah.
Always.
How many megas do you have now?
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 10.
10.
10
He's
I
like, hold on, let me count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
well, right here. Oh, whoa,
Most of them are there. Yeah.
Or do you point this way? Or you're like, oh wait, I have 1,
Look, I got
2,
the Skeletor
3.
one there.
That's the only one I have.
The LE100 black leather jacket one. I got the Mando and the Boba. Yeah. So yeah, and then I got a couple of ones for the places. So that's me. That's what I got.
I was trying to say you were flexing while you were counting. I don't know.
Flexing.
Yeah.
All right, you're going next. We can
Fine. I have the opposite of a flex. My arm would do the whole drag, down like they do in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. That's where I'm at. I only got one thing this week. The good news is, that's the bad news. The good news is I actually won it, didn't pay for it. That would be this Daryl Dixon.
You don't win anything.
Walking Dead.
You don't click Walking Dead.
I don't, but I won this from Sully's stream.
He does now.
I don't know why, but what
He
I really
collects, he collects W's.
There you go. Anyway, the best part of it though is the sticker that came with it. This one-of-one Sully made for 1,000 subs.
It's drawn.
Yeah.
Okay. It's cool.
Hand-drawn one. So that's my favorite part.
Hand-drawn vector.
That's right. Well, yeah, right. Hand-drawn vector.
100% hand-drawn vectors.
So anyway, that is surprisingly the only thing I got this week. I thought I had more coming, but apparently not till later. So
Next week.
Well, also before we go to Robbie, I did get one more thing. I want to give a shout out. No, I'm only doing this because I got the Freddy, the baseball Freddy from HQ.
Nice.
From Kelly. And I just want to give Kelly a shout out for always being willing to help, even though she's super busy. And there you go.
Well, now she has an insider, right? To Funko.
I don't think it helps.
Sorry. Yes.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, that worked.
Can you guys hear me all? I don't have a pair of headphones that seems to want to connect to my computer, so you may have to hear a little bit of your own voices, but
that's okay. We'll be fine.
Can't hear it right now.
No, we don't hear us. We just
no,
hear
you don't.
You.
Okay,
no,
perfect.
we just hear you. It's perfect.
You're good.
Yep.
I've actually think about my computer's mic. It must be placed in a good spot. I don't actually know where it is.
Okay. I got the HQ 32 from Kelly. Thank you. And I also got.
Thank you. So genuine.
I already messaged her. Thank you.
No.
She doesn't need my thanks on stream.
That's right. That's true.
I also got.
What is that?
Oh,
yeah.
Shark guy that was on Robbie's sec previously. He came in today, so he's really cool.
He's really cool.
I wish they would have painted his eyes.
Yeah.
So see him there, but his suit's awesome.
That is cool. I like it.
It's a gorgeous paintwork. I mean, yeah, it's weird they didn't do anything in the head, but
yeah, that was my first year. I was like, well, it's just a plain old head in there.
You got the proto.
The proto head. Yep, that's what's in there. The proto head. But that's
Gary
what I
got
got
one
this
too.
week.
It's the Tan Pilot.
Yep, Tan Pilot. It is
Mm-hmm.
by Merry Go Round.
Speaking of Robbie Sack, you guys all need to go check out the most recent post from Banter Toys.
Oh my God. For those that I don't know if you want to share that today, but they did a 3D sculpt
I'll pull it up real quick.
of Robbie. Well, not of his literal sack.
No, it's a literal sack.
Well, no, it you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
not-
You have to show the picture because I can't really do it justice. So I can't explain it in a way that won't confuse.
Yep, I'll
Well,
pull it up
anybody,
real-
any of our viewers should know what we're talking about.
That's true. That's a good point.
But it is quite amazing anyway.
It was pretty cool they did it. We
I
didn't
wonder
have
if they're
to
gonna
do-
sell it, and I wonder who would all buy it. I mean, I would.
I mean, we will.
Yeah.
They did the math. It's like, okay, it's going to cost this much resin, and we'll sell it to everybody on the show.
They'll literally
think there'd
get
be
the
quite a
Geek
few
Together bump.
people. All
Find
right,
it.
let's pull it up real quick. Yep,
Yeah, real quick.
sharing screen now.
And then Bean, we do want to know what you got this week too. Anything cool you want to share with us?
I just have a
Okay.
bunch of like slime releases.
I mean,
got
we'll
some
still,
making
we'll still see him. There it is. There's the Robbie Sack.
And,
A 3D
I
print.
mean, if I were to design a drawstring, if it wasn't purposeful, I would have had two
that
strings.
was so perfect.
But I feel like they're taking the metaphor with the sack on the sack.
It's a little long, but otherwise it's spot on.
and it is hanging to the left, which is accurate. So,
Wow. I mean,
so good.
And look at 70 people liked it so far. So yeah, they could sell it and make sell it. Yeah.
I personally think we should get the sculpt and send it in and get a stress ball made. That's what we need. So we just sit here when you're at work, Robbie. You can just be squeezing it,
Or
running around.
The next
Or
Mad
sitting here on
Ball.
Saturday nights, just like, yep, sounds good. I need a new sack.
And Fernando, who I don't know where he is these days, but he did comment on here that he wants the flocked scented version.
Ew.
I was gonna say, Scented is right up his alley.
Yep, it is.
It works.
Oh, all right.
Fernando, he's on
But
Mars
anyway,
by
thank
now
you-
or something.
Thank
Who
you,
knows?
obviously, to Chris and Eric at Fancer Toys. Always
It's amazing.
Yes.
stepping up and outdoing anything we could even think of doing there. That was amazing. I mean, they did design the sack in the first place.
That's
It
right.
is
Inspired by
their
Robbie.
design. It is their design.
I
Yeah.
don't know if Robbie set pictures or anything, but
He
Pretty
modeled.
accurate. It's
Did
pretty
he model
accurate.
for it?
oh yeah, it was Resident Rookie. Yeah, thanks for joining. Absolutely, that's the metaphor. That's the whole segment. That's the bit. We're all grown up. We're all grown up here.
I'm glad it looks exactly like it's supposed to.
It does. It does.
Yep. All right.
Yep. See, we even got it. That's our currency here, and then we even have the
Our
icon
currency.
here too. Yeah. See, there you go. They designed that.
Yep.
All right. So, as we stated on Instagram, everything like that. Thank you so much, Bean, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I am a very chaotic person, so it's hard to actually organize myself to wake up on time. I work nights.
I'm
So-
married to an artist, so don't worry.
Okay, good.
And we are all in this art crazy world that we're either you're different people, the creators and then the consumers, and I'm on the consumer with Clint. Clint's probably the most. He's got spreadsheets to track everything, so it's like the other side of the spectrum. Like he doesn't miss a damn thing. He knows more what I'm doing than I know what I'm doing.
I don't know when I became your personal assistant, but here we are.
It's weird. It's by accident, but it worked out well. But anyway, really been looking forward to talking. We've been working with you for a long time. Obviously, a fan of your work.
Yeah.
And sort of like if so many of the toys that we buy and people that we work with and artists we talk to, a lot of them are powered by Being Large and Art.
I
If you
like
were
that spot. I like
Yeah, you
being
like that?
the person in the sidelines that isn't thought about often. Because it does mean a lot when someone actually takes the effort to go the 3 steps past the original artist or the 3D printer or the digital sculptor, and they actually do care about the production aspect of it. And that's where I find it like you are truly caring about the full aspect of designer toys at that point. And you do care about, even if it was one person's true concept and baby and design, if someone needed to bring that to like full
Production
like
is
fruition or production in a full scale like
a
line,
big part of
that's
it.
where I really love being. And when I get those comments or when I get those people message me directly, even if it was about a Valor Vellum release or an ice cream release or whatever, it means a lot to me to hear that like come back. Someone took the extra effort to go beyond the original artist and actually
Yeah.
like appreciate the
I mean-
production work of it.
I mean, you did the first molds and casts for Deathly Cute for Dahlia as well. I mean, so we worked with you on that. As a matter of fact, I think you're doing molds for us now.
Yeah, I
For
actually
sure.
just got that box in. We're just about to open those back up and rerun all those molds. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great.
we're super excited. I know you worked with Jason Rose, who recommended you. He speaks very highly of you. Where you worked a lot with Barely and all the new things, all the crazy things he's doing. I sent him a message because he's sending you a bunch more stuff. I was like, hold on, slow down, buddy. I need to get something. Calm down. Calm down,
yeah,
Jason.
Jason always hits me up and he's always just like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, this is either two things. It's either a really good Jason friend conversation or it's a, hey, how's it going? Could I slip in your schedule real fast?
It's hard to say
we
no to
got-
Jason too, so I
We
get
got a
it.
little distracted. So, we need to see something new you got this week. You mentioned something slime. Let's see it.
Yeah,
Let's see it.
so I haven't actually released my own toy or anything bean related in over a year.
Yeah.
I realized that and I was like, I should probably do a new bean slime toy. So I
You
have,
should say bean slime.
Yes.
Bean
yeah,
slime.
my little logo and character that
Yeah.
kind of looks like a bunch of silicone dripping around.
Which makes
Okay.
sense.
It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
So
Oh,
I hand
cool.
this little guy.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
He has the little balloon, right?
And then he carries.
Oh yeah, a little balloon.
It's
Awesome.
so cute.
That is so cool.
So it's
Very
just
nice.
like
And the
the
balloon
original
is slime
character
too.
I sculpted had the balloon as part of it,
Mhm.
or drew. But I never felt confident when I was doing this 5 years ago, when I was first sculpting bean slimes, to actually cast something like this.
All
Yeah.
right.
So I kind of always wrote it off as something more complex than my skill. And now I'm doing what I'm doing entirely in molding, and I never actually brought it back around to my own characters or my own artwork or anything like that. And I was purely just producing for others. So it was fun to bring something back and like do a little bit more complex of a mold and cast for this. And then this is just an ice cube done. So it was almost easier than most of my molding I do for clients, which was fun.
Right. I can see. Yeah. I mean, trust me, as somebody who's been taking your molds and trying to cast myself and learning all the ins and outs of it, I have a great respect for the art of what you're doing, because I have a graveyard of pieces of resin, of trail, if you will, of my mistakes and learnings. You can pile all up.
I have the buckets of miscasts.
Yeah,
I
there you
was
go,
always
miscast.
kind of
I'm gonna
funny
do it.
that I have probably one of the largest miscast collections of toys people want, but I can't do anything.
But you get it. Right. That's
They just
funny.
sit there.
Yeah.
But it's nice once in a while I'll go back and like resculpt the areas that were damaged through the casting. And then
Oh,
I can
yeah.
offer that back to the client, like, hey, I have this piece. It's not blank worthy, but throw a
Mhm.
primer on it and you're good to go. And I can sell that
Yeah.
back for half the price of what a normal toy is. And then it's not trash sitting in my studio.
That's
Right.
good.
I'm the same way. I don't like getting rid of the miscasts. I like to try to repurpose them.
I mean, epoxy sculpt is just such a neat thing. Like knowing that epoxy sculpt exists makes it hard for me to like get rid of any kind of plastic mistake.
Yep.
It is fixable.
Yeah, Christina's the same way. I mean, that's the benefit of me, having Christina here, because she sculpts things by hand all the time.
Yeah.
So anything that normally would be a miscast somewhere else, she can we can fix it, one off
Yeah,
and
you
make
have
it
to
work.
quick bubble or
Mhm.
a little bit of extra sanding work, but you could add one more drip of resin on top of it. There's a lot of like
Yep.
weird
Yep.
replacements that you can do to miscast that you would normally like just throw directly out. It may not fit in the actual run because it's now has that weird oxidation streak when you
Right.
cast twice on top of itself.
Mhm.
But at least it's a good figure to paint or do a one-off or make your. I've made a lot of chases and runs with that odd figure because I can cover it
Oh.
with paint. So
That makes
it
sense,
may
yeah.
be strange, or it may be the miscast. But when I finish the actual figure and finish the run, I can hide all of that within a unique like look that then makes the chase figure. Which in my head is always cool that the most damaged figure becomes the most valuable figure.
Right?
Hey,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of there's like a children's book in there somewhere.
Right?
Ugly duckling style.
Put it in
It's like the
there.
ugly duckling, right? I mean-
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
So going on, what we like to do when we talk to people on the show is really kind of go back to the origins, if you will, in the Geek, the origin story. So what was your journey of getting into designer toys and doing what you're doing?
It's a weird one, but I can actually pinpoint it back to a very like set month. I've always smoked cigarettes and things like that, and then I switched to vaping. And this was back in the time when like the bigger vape pens that were super powerful were big, and people were super into having their own custom vape tips for it. And so I started sculpting a whole bunch of Jedi Master vape tip heads, but I didn't produce them in something that would actually work on the actual like heated element. So I needed a plastic that was durable and non-toxic to reproduce my sculptures in so that I could sell them in smoke shops. So it all really started around me trying to create Kiadi Mundi vapes, like Star Wars Jedi vape tip heads.
Nice.
The original clay wouldn't work in it, so I had to learn how to mold and cast just to purely do that. But then I never released any vape tip heads because by that point I had already sculpted all my own toys, but how do you produce toys? So they just set as like clay sculptures on my own shelf. But then I got silicone, and then it changed the game. I was like, okay, I can now, any sculpture I want to make, I could make if I learn how to use these materials properly. And it just instantly started an endless passion for researching and looking and like trying to replicate molding. Because as much as I want to know my sculpt is good, or as much as I want to know that my toy is going to come out, I kind of had this feeling at the very beginning when I started that if I don't produce a good mold, what is going to actually be pulling the figure that the client has, what was the point of all of the extra work I put into it? If I ruin my sculpt, or if I ruin it because it now has an 1/8 clef where the seam is, it doesn't really matter how good your sculpt is. There's a production flaw inherently in the design, which devalues all that effort and work you put into it.
Or just gives you a hell of a lot more work to make it
work. Yeah. If you have the sanding over and over, you need to put the clay back in there and smooth it over. It's so much extra work that trying to think about duplicating that out to 30, 40, LE 70 toys becomes a nightmare. Not that I was like thinking about doing production work back then, but that was where my head was like, how do I make the mold work? Which is why I'm where I am now is I kind of lost track of sculpting. I lost track of doing any kind of like casting work as like my main thing. And it was just, let me figure out how to mold the most complex figures I possibly could. So something I would never think could pull out of an ice cube tray. How do I make it work in an ice cube tray? Where do I put my cut lines? Where do I put my vents so that the figure still comes out, but the seams are hidden as best as possible? I know that was a long, but yeah,
it's great.
Like instantly got me interested in the silicone and production aspect of molding. And that's where I'm at now. That's what I love to do, is just produce molds. Casting is fun and I love it, but it's definitely not my main
But you
passion.
do both. I mean, a lot of people you do. I mean, well, I want to back up a little bit, but I do know that you do the molds for a lot of people, but you also do a lot of casting for people.
Yeah, casting is definitely the smaller amount of what I do, but it's when people like don't necessarily have the time to cast everything themselves. That's where I like to fill it in, because I really do think anyone could produce their own toys. Casting is something that everyone can learn. And I like to be the person where if you're not willing to do the $2,000 worth of failed silicone experiments and like endless pain and suffering over trying to learn all of that, then that is really like where I want to be in the community. So let me kickstart you so that your first toy experience isn't the worst experience, so that you keep coming back and wanting to produce more toys, whether or not doing your molds at that point. But
so Gary here wants to know if you still have any of your original Star Wars vape tips that you sculpted.
I don't actually. I am a bad person and I don't keep anything I do.
Really?
A bad person.
No, I don't have any of my toy releases. I have one. I own one of my own toy releases.
I have one of your customs
or something. What was that?
I own one of your customs.
Yeah, I don't own any customs of my own.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that's the whole point. I have the one that you did for the Barely show. Barely.
Oh, really? That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's the Skeletor coming out of the with the slime. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the idea of that on stream while I was doing the bigger Bareleys. And so I just like cut open the belly of the bear on stream and just shoved one of my blanks in there. And then everyone told me that was going to be it. So I just went with it.
It was cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's actually made by I mean, I have so many different things, but it's definitely prominently like right. I probably can't see
Yeah.
it right there. Yeah, right. Yeah, right there.
You just see it like just the peak
Barely.
of the
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
up on the shelf, isn't it?
So go. It's on the pink shelf. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I see it.
pink shelf. My daughter helps me curate the pink shelf.
Appropriately.
I do have a question. When did you make the turn? Because you mentioned before you're sculpting your own toys. So you were doing your own toys, and that's what motivated you. I mean, besides the vape pens, you were doing your own toys. What kind of clicked, or what opportunity came up for you to switch paths and then become the mold producer you are now?
Like what single opportunity like kickstarted the whole event?
Yeah, I mean, because it sounds to me like you started doing the vape pens. You said you never actually got around to releasing those because you just got into molding your own toys.
It was actually so I used to do like full digital work. I was a graphic designer full time, and I did all that kind of stuff. And I have it here. I'll pull it up 1 second.
Okay.
So this is one of the only toys I have from 5 or 6 years ago when I first started. But I originally had made this digital painting, which I called the Piglet Demon. And this is probably like a 10-year-old painting.
Okay.
I wanted to try to resculpt it in 3D.
Ah, yeah.
So this is my actual first toy release. This is what I tried to mold and cast for my first toy.
Okay.
Imagine how disastrous it was.
That's a very
And
complicated
how much it
mold.
wanted to push me to learn how you sculpt or mold.
That's not bad for your very first
And it was
one,
the
though.
first one I tried to do.
Well, no, but it's pretty ambitious for as somebody, it's me who's trying to take and pour and using pressure pots and the whole idea of venting and bubbles and the way air works and all the things that can go wrong. I'm looking at that myself going, oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, this
But
is
then
gravity
like,
force.
now it would be
for
super
any of the
easy to
equipment.
do a two-part mold and you'd be done. But but yeah, as a first,
Yeah, this is the one that I did with like a ice cube. So this is all cut. So I had to hand cut through the ears, and then each of these ears is vented to the horn. So I did it very poorly, but I was able to get about 15 toys out.
Okay.
So
you started doing that.
This is the project that kickstarted it all, and this is the first one I released like to the public. I sold absolutely none of them, and I think I gave away most of them at that point, but this was the first one I released. So this would be the toy that like kickstarted everything into actual, like, let me be a toy designer and let me see if I can make a name for myself in toys. It would be the Piglet Demon. And then I did a whole line called the Damsels, which was a blind box series I did of different like sea creatures that were stuck in Davy Jones' locker. So there are a bunch of like mini shells that have like demonic faces and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of those little toys I did out there, but none of those lines stuck around. I've actually never sold out of a piece, and unless it's been me trying to like give them away. So me as a toy seller, I'm one of the worst ever. I've never sold out of a toy line. I've never hit a toy line. Every toy line I've ever done has flopped. But I have worked on many good toys out there in the world. So it's kind of a weird place to be, but I have so much passion for it. Like, I'll keep doing it.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. That's what's important. I mean, look, very, very few of us, there isn't the amount of scale you have to get to where you're like changing your life monetarily for a toy is pretty hefty. So a lot of it is a labor of love. And I think that's a pretty, and so as long as you're having fun doing it, that's worth doing alone. That's what it's all about.
Oh yeah. I have moments where I wonder, like, has me as a toy artist kind of moved past, and now I should focus much more on me as a toy factory, because I'm not really producing my own toy art anymore. This is the first release I've done in a year. So I have had a little bit more of a artist identity struggle over the past year of really trying to figure out like who I am in the toy world. So do people even view me as a toy artist? Or do people view me purely as a toy investment opportunity, which are both purely good and fine things, but how do I present myself to the community anymore if I'm not truly creating artistic endeavors anymore?
Yep. And for those that don't know, that the toxic slime spell is glow in the dark, and it is available now. Clint, thank you for putting the link there.
It is LE5. I think there's still 3 or 4 available?
No, there's only
No.
one. Get on it now. Hurry. One left. Go.
One.
Go.
One left. You better hurry up. You're gonna get that the Geek Together bump there. And, we can sell one. We can sell one.
I sold one. If you all sold one, we're at 2 out of 5.
Perfect.
Cruising.
Perfect.
It's a hot toy. It's a hot seller.
Hey, that could be
Honest
more of them.
thought.
And it glows very bright. I'm looking at it now. I'm
Yeah,
just
it
saying,
does.
I'm just
Yeah, the
saying.
glow is great.
Don't miss out on that one. It's awesome.
No,
So-
I produced it because I wanted to do something on my own. But like I said, I'm kind of moved past the point of like holding a lot of worth in an artist name, because I know that what I am to the community is much more of a support and like teaching aid than I am like a let's collect Bianca's toys. Because I haven't focused on being that kind of hype artist in that way. So I've definitely taken the year to like learn that.
Right. And I don't know all of the artists that you work with, obviously, but I can go down the list of a lot that our audience would be that would know very much. You work closely with, you mentioned Jason wrote Barely Available. You're working on a lot of his stuff. The Big Skeletor, seeing that progress is amazing. Leftover Toys.
Oh,
We know you do a lot of work with Waffle and Leftover early on.
I will say that Leftover Toys is now doing all their own work. So
yes.
they moved, they took all their own molds and they're going to start doing all their own casting, which is awesome. It's definitely something that.
But you work with them on the molds, and you did cast some of the Waffles early
Right.
on.
Yeah, the newest release was actually the last one. The one he just released was the last one I cast.
The XL, the blue one?
Last release, that was the last one produced in my studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I mean, I think that's a natural iteration of, like you said, you're scaffolding people.
I want people to be able to
do it. Yeah.
They do
right.
and move on with it.
I mean, there's only so much
do
you
it
can
yourself.
That's the problem with art, right? That's the problem with art and artists. You can't scale them.
Right.
You can at a factory with vinyl and all that kind of stuff, but then you lose kind of the personality of the resin art and the resin toys. But what you're doing, it's not like you could just tomorrow be like, oh yeah, we're going to produce 400.
Yeah, no, it's
it's like one person doing it, right? Yeah,
like I did get that. But it's still like I pull 2 toys out instead of everyone else's one. I'll be pulling 2 or 3 out each time. I'm still in the studio for 12 hours casting toys. Like
it takes a long time, and it's an operation of patience because probably my biggest mistake is not being patient enough. What are you gonna say, Robbie?
My wife was into it for maybe a year or so. She's making molds and doing everything. She actually made a lot for Christina of Freddy heads back in the day for customs. And it is not. You guys don't get enough credit for how difficult it is.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
Seeing the effort she put in is it's incredible. It's incredible how difficult.
It's crazy how much you'll put into it. Like I'll just to like put an effort into just on feet, which no one pays attention to because this is the bottom of a foot.
Mm-hmm.
I spend maybe 8.5 hours on a toy release worrying about the bottom of your toy, which you're never going to focus on. But if I don't, you will sure as hell focus on it because it will be weird as fuck.
Yep.
So
it won't be.
We're adults.
Yep.
Okay. I'm alone in my studio at night, and I don't got anyone censoring me anytime. So
that's okay.
You say what you want here. We are
that's who we want. We don't want the censored version.
Yeah, we don't want censored versions of people on this show. There's plenty of shows.
But that's
fuck that.
It's a labor of love. I'll be sitting on that power sander, and then I'm going through and making sure. And maybe if I don't buff every line out of the feet because their feet, like I want it to look well produced.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it has to stand up too. I mean, like you said,
Yeah,
you notice totally.
It'll be on its back.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird that like one of my biggest worries that no collector will worry about is how do the feet look.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you look at that bottom of the toy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at my dahlias right now. Look at the feet.
It doesn't look good.
Oh, don't worry. The dahlias are fine. The dahlias are good.
I've gotten better at
They even have a little heart on the foot.
Yeah, the dahlias, especially with that like raised foot.
Yeah.
They could be if I don't get them level.
You just want an excuse to show that off.
No. But she's right. It's like they won't stand if they're messed up. If they got edges or they got weirdness in the pore spouts, they will fall down.
The tiniest bit of unlevelness, and they do not like to stand properly.
Especially those big ass
I don't know
heads.
if you guys saw on my page when I did the Bob Will Rain toys. Those little like businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
Those had micro peg. They stood on a like centimeter by 5 millimeter feet.
Oh my gosh.
Just 2 little pegs, and I had to like perfectly make sure those were level, and then checking on a bunch of different surfaces to see if it would stand on an 80 percentile of surfaces, and then I would call it good. I was like, it stands on 80% of things.
Yeah, you
It's
can't win them
going-
all. I agree with that.
Shout out to Mikey P2508 for following, and to Sarah of 30 to Sarah 32.
Is that Jason?
Is that Jason Bean of TLS fame? I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it is based on the picture. I think it is.
I think
it's him.
too.
Yep.
I think it's him. Well, welcome. Nice to see you both. And so we mentioned Jason. We mentioned Leftover Toys. You're also working more recently with Valor and Vellum of Sune.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was I hope to like get that kick started off the ground. So I received a sculpt from I really love Pixels, who they used for printing and everything, and
Okay.
we've kind of just been rolling with it. It's been fun. I'm producing endless toys for her. So you
Oh
guys
yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
expect a lot
she's got-
to release this. It's so much fun. I wish I could release all that information about it, but
No, we
Weird.
knew.
Good. We
Good.
wouldn't stop you.
One.
Just saying.
yeah. But
Yeah, we
it's
would.
cool, and there's some really, really good colors that they chose to release for everyone.
Very
So it's
cool.
going to
Yeah,
be
we're
really
looking forward
fun. But that was definitely one of the more complex toys that I was asked to do in a full production scale. So that
Right.
tail and those little bits on her face,
Mm-hmm.
that was a nightmare to figure out. How am I going to get this to look clean,
Mhm.
not have seaming everywhere, but still not produce I could be fine if I was doing 10 to not worry about venting every one of those. But if
Right.
I'm doing 70 toys and I need to produce 70 in 2 days, I need every single one to come out bubble free. So it took me a long time to figure out. So it's actually a 3-part mold. And if you go back on my Instagram, you can see how that one works. But it's a
Okay.
3-part mold that splits across the back so that I can vent the full tail. And that also splits across the face right here so that you can vent the ears and all of the face little tufts of fur.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. I'll have to go. Yeah,
Yeah,
go check it out.
I love your demolding videos. It's always
Yeah, I try. I've been really bad at Instagram because mental health hasn't been the best this year. So Instagram just was thrown out the window.
It's been a rough year. Yeah, I can
Weird.
only
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
I moved to Portland in November, and then I kind of had a downhill slope and ended up in a psych ward in December, and then have been making my way back into day-to-day life again.
Oh,
Good for you. I think a
all.
lot of people need to do that. Need to pay attention to their mental health. So good for you, seriously.
I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't want to say good. I made it. I didn't pay attention so much. I made it to the mental health
That's
hospital.
fair.
So I
What's
do.
really important is that you're here right now. Right?
Exactly.
That's what's
You took care of
important.
it. Yes.
You took care of it. And now to that question on that, does the being in the studio, working with the artist, the outlet of creating the molds, bring a level of that therapy, if you will? Is it something you like doing? Is it really, what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's usually where I go if I'm having an anxious day. My house doesn't feel safe. My studio feels safe.
Mhm.
If I'm feeling uncomfortable, I will go to my studio, even if it's not to produce. It's just to sit where I know that I have control. I know that's weird, but it's like I have control over it. It's my space. It's not even like my house. There's not anything else that goes on with it. There's no bad feelings really there. It's just artwork. So it is definitely my safe space and what I do to keep myself happy. But yeah, what happened in December was I got backed up on a lot of work from toys, and then I caught COVID, so I couldn't work for 2 weeks because I was in a shared studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to catch up on 2 weeks of work, so I ended up and I have manic issues and I'm bipolar, so I ended up going into a manic episode. And I stayed up for 6 days straight, so I was sleep deprived 6 days just making toys.
Whoa.
And I got into this weird delusion that if I fell asleep, all my clients would leave because I didn't finish their work. And it was obviously false, but it was this manic delusion that if I stop working now, I will not have a job later. So it was 6 straight days of producing toys
Wow.
on art until I ended up in a hospital.
Crazy. Wow. That's
yeah. So yes, I'm happy I'm here, but it definitely was out of too much work. I pushed myself too hard and I held myself to too high of standards, which led me to actually hurt myself more because I lost clients, I lost jobs, I was out of work for almost a month because of COVID and then psych ward. So definitely not worth it.
Well, I do think to Clint's point before is it brings up a focus you do got to take care of yourself first. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your business. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't do those things. And I do know in the world you're working with, and it's easier said than done. but I know. Well, I mean, we remember because you're posting a little bit about getting behind and stuff like that. And I think Christina probably reached out. I was like, hey, don't worry about us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that's much more important. I mean, because at the end of the day, people are what drive this, and that's what we do it for. And we love everybody we work with, and that's why, and that's a big piece of what we do. And so I think the community is a good, is a good place for it. But anyway, it's always sad to go through that. But hopefully, you can, it's good that you have the therapy of the work in the studio, and then a good community there too.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if I didn't have the community there, if you guys weren't as supportive as you were, and I didn't have every fan on Twitch during that time, and everyone around saying, "Hey, you're okay. Even if it's only you produce one toy in a month from now, we still love you," I would have self-sabotaged throughout that whole thing.
Right.
Like, it was already a self-sabotaging event, so without the support of the community and how great the community was during that, I don't know what would have happened.
I think that we had a conversation at the time. Is like the last thing on anybody's mind was toys.
Right.
Like, who cares about that?
Yeah. No, and that's where, like, I think everyone was extremely supportive, and it definitely made me truly appreciate the people who did see past, like, hey, my toy work is late, and why don't I have my toys on my desk? No, you're a human, Bianca, and you're not doing okay. Take your time, eat some food, sit down, relax, and give to my toys next week. And that really was like, drove home who truly supports me in the community. And I gotta say, it was only 2 people who dropped off and were mad. So 2 people, 32 clients I've worked with, that's astounding.
Their stupidity.
Their molds aren't going to be as good, I'll tell you that.
Right, yeah. Let them be dumb.
Yep.
Real quick.
I mean, it's the thing. It's like what's the short-sightedness of that right there. Like, you invest in people, and people make the difference, and the talent is there, and what you do. I mean, look, there's no secret. Anybody in our circle is like, hey, I'm going to make a toy. Everybody throws your name out there. Like, well, the best mold maker, you got to go, to be. That's where you go.
I see it a lot. I get a lot of references where I've seen almost all of your names said to me as you have referenced me forward. So, like, it does mean a lot. I usually get at least once a week. One of my people I've previously worked with has used my work as an example of, like, high standing. And it means so much to know that that's where I am. And that's kind of what I was saying before, is I like being that person. Like, how do I kickstart your project off the ground? Because it can feel very scary to have your sculpt and be like, what?
Well, I could say if somebody's working with you, I know Christina's been reached out like, hey, we have this weird issue. What are we doing wrong? Like, because we're learning too. Like, we're learning how to cast it. It's like one thing to get the molds, but then the casting process. And Jason's the same way. Jason's been awesome. Yeah. He's constantly hearing from me because he casts a bunch of stuff, and we've all had the same problems. And even though I'm seeing him for the first time, you all have seen it already. You've all run into it. And so the community has been very, there isn't a lot of secrets. You know what I mean? Like, some people, I'll run into 1 or 2 people like, well, that's my secret. I'm not going to help you. I'm like, okay, well, fine. We'll figure it out somewhere else.
If there's a thing that's unique to a certain artist, I'm not going to begrudge them to not go and make it, shout it to the world exactly how they did whatever they did.
No, I agree with that. It's weird when someone's like, "It's my ice cube tray mold." I will never tell you how. Glue in a bucket. Like, why are you hiding from me here? Really? That's when it blows me away.
I'm generally an open book. I'm not gonna not tell people a product that I use or if somebody asks me, I'll tell them. It's not like
I even started a Twitch channel just to be like, I probably need to lessen the amount of questions I get on my Instagram. So I just started doing those Twitch lessons where I can point people back to, and like,
that's awesome. How often do you do that?
Before November, I was trying to do a Twitch lesson once a week, and then I haven't actually gotten back onto it since then.
Yeah, I went to a few of those for sure. They were good. You really have a lot of knowledge that you don't realize you're doing naturally and easily as you're doing it. And you're like, wait a minute, okay, there's a good tip.
Yeah,
there's a note to take. There is a lot of nuances.
I basically just try to produce a full mold for like in a 2-hour window.
Wow.
And let like any questions that people have come at me while I'm doing it, and then if you want to hold your figure up or send me pictures of your figure while I'm doing it, I will actually like print those pictures out and run through how I would mold your figure for you, so that you can then at least take those techniques and try it yourself. Or if you happen to get too overwhelmed while I'm saying it, usually you just send me your figure and I mold it. But it has led to some clients, but a lot of people have used the tips to like move forward. So they're like, where do I put the venting? Like all the clay work makes sense, but the venting scares me. And I'll just go through and I'll draw in where I would put the venting.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know if it's 100% right because I'm not there with the figure, but at least it's a huge step forward if you are making your own molds to have kind of me sign off on your venting plan so that maybe you're a little bit more confident when you do pour the silicone that it will go right.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
you're not going to feel so bad when it maybe goes wrong because you have a plan on how to fix it.
Now, what would you say is probably the most challenging mold you've had to make?
I wish I had it here, but the most challenging mold is for a company called Scum Toys. I don't know what they're up to now. I know we had a payment issue, which wasn't a big thing. It was actually a very fun mold to do, but it's a 4-part mold. So you have both your part A and part B, and then I had to vent the entire. So I don't know how to say this. There's a like shirt piece that hangs over that
Okay.
like a huge cavity under here in the sculpt. So I had to vent all that really thin shirt. So there's another piece that goes like slides in underneath the butt and leg and vents that entire shirt. And then there's a peace symbol hand sitting on top of the knee like this in the sculpt.
Oh, wow.
I had to vent both of those fingers. So the 4th piece comes in and creates 2 venting connections for that so that can lead out the bottom of the mold. And that all fits together as like a 4-piece, like chunky mold that I'll have to take some pictures of it sometime.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
But it's a crazy mold, and it was very, very hard to get to work out correctly. But it pulls good figures now. So
now, what advice would you give people that had your molds, like how to take care of them, and how long they should last, and what you should look for?
Use mold release every single time. Don't question it. Don't consider it. Spray your damn mold down. Use it. Every time you don't use mold release, that's one more toy you don't get pulled out later. I have had figures where I would have expected 20 total, and my mold has lasted for 60 to 100 figures because I'm making sure that I'm spraying that mold. I'm putting Vaseline in really bad areas. I'm doing mold like preventative techniques to make sure that I can get 5 or 10 more toys because those 5 or 10 more toys are the cost of my next mold.
That's true.
So if I can get that little extra out of it, I can pay for any future projects that would go with it.
Yep.
So that's my number one is if you buy a mold from me, mold release. And if you're finding maybe it is creating that little bit of oily surface, wipe out your mold and respray it. Because that's just excess like resin oils and silicone. So wipe it out and then respray it. Yeah, that's my number one is just your mold will last so much longer if you continuously make sure you have the release agent in there.
Yeah, otherwise, you'll get things stuck in there. And guess what? When you're prying it out, you're pulling the mold apart. You're going to break pieces off. It's going to start to, then it's going to show in every case.
Like mold, you guys were able to pull quite a few figures out because
we did get quite a few. We did quite
toward the end. I had a lot of sanding to do though.
Yeah, I noticed there were some chunks missing in corners and
most of the problem was actually probably toward the top where maybe we didn't get enough mold release in or where a lot of overcast is. And so we probably needed to pay attention more there when we were focusing more on the other areas. But I would say the area in which maybe didn't get as much mold release, like the feet on the body.
Yeah.
The hands and the tail did pretty good. The head was really good, except for we had probably more issues again around the pour spout. It seems to be right around where the issues we were having.
Yeah, the pour spout often gets the worst right away because as you're pouring, you're actually pushing that mold release off of the surface.
Well, that makes sense.
So it actually doesn't really have mold release on the pour sprout when it's right there because you're spending your whole time just pushing all that mold release into the mold.
Okay.
So your pour sprout will go first out of any mold as long as you're keeping up the other.
Mm-hmm.
Cat just caught a fly. It was very impressive. Sorry, that was distracting. She did like a double backflip and caught it, and now she's eating it, which is disgusting. Anyway, I'll let her do her thing over there. But yeah, that was what mold release is my number one. And then be careful when you're pulling it out would be the other thing. Especially like Dahlia is a good example. You guys have that flower.
Mhm.
Make sure you pop all the air around it and then pull it out. Don't just rip it out of there, because that flower may get lightly caught right here. But if you were able to pop all the air suction, then that won't rip out. But if you just rip it out quick, you may pull a piece of silicone out before it was ready to actually be gone.
We can see that.
So yeah, that would be the other way I've destroyed molds in the past. Is I'm just excited.
You want to see it right away.
I want to pull it out, and there goes the thin piece between the arm and the body or whatever it is. And
the art of venting is so important, because, like, to get those air bubbles where they are and how they sit, and they can get trapped. Like, and then the viscosity of the resin you're using, and trying different things and different methods. That's probably been my biggest trial and error is,
Especially with the clear resin.
With the clear resins, especially, versus the white resin is much easier. Very thin, sets really fast.
White resin is nice because, like, as long as it once covered a surface, and even if there's now a bubble there, I can't tell.
Yeah.
There's a film over the bubble, which now makes it paintable. It makes it okay. Right. But the second you have that in a clear toy,
well, you see it. It's
interesting.
Yeah, we had some really weird areas in which we're like, okay, and we think it was, it was too thick and it got trapped. It can get trapped in it, even with the venting. Like, it's just really easy, like, depending on how the pressure pot works and stuff like that. There's just a lot of learning there. Clear is definitely more temperamental than the white stuff, for sure.
I had a couple times where I was using Aluminite, and it's a thicker, more like viscous material, and my venting was too thin. So when it would all vent out, and I would see all my levels rise all the way through the fence, and I would put it in the pressure pot. And then because I put it under pressure, but there wasn't enough actual resin in the vent, when I put it under pressure, the resin got pushed back down, and I created a bubble cavity through putting it into the pressure pot.
That might be it, because we were using Aluminite. That was what we were using. Yeah.
It could be that if you see the resin come up, but then you pressurize it too much, you're actually pressing that resin back down in, and air is being pushed back into your mold. So what you can do to avoid that is, at the top of the vent, cut a little like funnel ring, so that if there is pressure, there's kind of like a little sprue that the vent can suck all that resin back from. So there's little techniques to avoid those kind of things, but venting is a whole art form in its own.
I can tell. Like, we're looking at it, we're trying to, you got to figure out gravity and pressure and air and where it wants to go and where does water want to run and where does air want to escape
to. Of fluid dynamics, and
there you go. Yes.
I never thought that I would be in the world of fluid dynamics and the high level maths, but here I am. And unfortunately, I dropped out of high school in freshman year, so I'm working on a very low level of education.
Hey.
So go to school, kids. Go to school.
Hard knocks right there.
Well, I would say even as an artist who thought that, I can get away, I'm never going to need math. Here I am using geometry and fluid dynamics every day.
Fluid dynamics. Never learned that in high school.
Yeah, no, it's how does fluid and air move around a cavity when you force it into a place with pressure?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I never once thought I would need geometry. I never once thought that the algebra would become useful within my art career. And here I am using it every darn day. It surprised the hell out of me when I got into it. But yeah, I at least do 4 or 5 equations a day just to figure out the quantities of materials I'm using.
Wow.
Which is crazy to think that the art is doing that. But yeah, it's part of what I do now is just, all right, how much resin is this shape? Figure it out, because you got 70 more to make. You don't want to waste extra resin.
I would just fill the mold with water.
That's a good way to do it.
And then I pour it into a cup. I'm like, that much resin, and I gotta make sure it dries.
Yeah. For me, I don't.
Who needs math?
Wait for the dry aspect of it.
Damien's got it locked down.
Yeah.
I usually try to find the workaround like that, because I'm like, I don't know.
I use hack dynamics is what I use.
Hack dynamics. Not learned that in school either.
What's hilarious is Damien is actually really good at math.
Yeah, that's true.
I am not, but I will go the lazy way and figure out with water.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Ways. I don't know if you guys have looked it up, but if you are looking for like the cheat sheet way, there's the way that you can do it with BBs. So you can fill a mold with BBs, and then you can pour that back into a cup. And I forget the calculation, but you're basically accounting for the fact that all those BBs have a little bit of air in between them.
There's air between them, yeah.
And you're calculating that. So you basically just raise it up and you subtract a certain amount, or you like add a certain amount for the air that was missed. But it's a very quick, easy equation, but it's not perfectly accurate.
And it would be hard to do like on your balloon.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 BBs could fit in there,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
really the balloon is 3 drips of resin. It's so little.
That's what I found with the
over in the cup and like scrape it into it and then throw it in the pressure pot.
Yeah, that's what I found with the tail and the hands too. It's very little resin in there, but that's also if it's too thick, it's really easy to get it trapped air on top of it.
You'll think that it's full, but it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's just like the hand is just a bubble. Yeah. You have like a shoulder in the mold.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never knew that it never went all the way down into the mold, or you forgot that one piece of venting, and you close the mold back with the venting in it, and now nothing vents.
Oh yeah, because you didn't pull it out. Yeah, when you you have to put a lot of effort. That's another tip I would give. When you take those molds out, clean them out.
Clean it.
Get every little thing out of there. Brush it out if you need to. Because I've also had mistakes where I'd have like a flake of something, and then I'm using a white mold, and I go to a clear. I'm like, oh, there's that piece of white that I didn't see. Right there now. I can't not look at it now.
Right behind the eyeball.
It's like a birthmark. Yeah.
A birthmark.
It does have
a good way to name it.
Yep.
Either that, or we have had times when there was some resin that got into the interlocking part.
Oh yeah.
And then on the next one, if it didn't get completely cleaned out, the resin just runs right through the mold.
Yeah.
We'll be like,
it's like, oh look, it's pouring out the back ass of it. All right, that's cool. Yeah,
all over the work surface.
Yeah, right. Volume's peeing all over the place.
If it doesn't pour out, it's just going to get thicker and thicker, and then your seam's going to get bigger on your toy. So even if it doesn't pour, you want to pull it out just so your seam isn't as large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lots of stuff. Now, I have to have a question. Wow, we're already at top of the hour. Man, that went by fast. This is great.
Always does.
So the big Skeletor that I am going to be buying as soon as I'm allowed to. Decon. That's right. Decon. I will be there. So that's right. He did announce that he was going to bring in the Decon. I'm like, good. I have a shot because I will be there before anybody else in the morning.
Awesome.
How is that? That mold process is different than other ones you've done to get that big, right?
So that mold process is a jacket mold. So that's where I'm brushing on silicone, and I did about 30 different coats. And so it was me being awake and around the mold for 32 hours. I took naps in between it, but it was 32 hours of consistent work to make sure that when you're setting on your next silicone, it needs to be at the right tackiness, that you're not warping the first one you just put on, but it's still going to adhere to the new set.
It's going to build up rather than just being another layer that falls off.
Yeah,
you can't.
So it's like a 4 hour in between. So I got to brush it on, wait 4 hours, brush more on, wait 4 hours. And so I did that for coat after coat after coat to get it to where it's like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch thick. And then you go around that with fiberglass and resin and create this outer shell that holds all of that in place. So that later on, when I pull out the figure, that very floppy, weird skin has something to like set into and hold it open. I think I have a live video on Instagram of me doing all the rotational casting and everything of those.
Yeah. I was very fascinated with that. Yeah. And
you can kind of check out how that mold works. But yeah, and then you pour in the resin and it's a 35-pound mold and you have to pick it up by hand and rotate the whole thing like this.
Wow.
And you do that for 5 or 6 pours per toy. So I pour in resin, I rotate it, I stop, I pour in resin, I rotate it. And so each one of those is probably 2.5 hours of me spinning the mold.
Who needs a gym membership?
It's like a workout. Yeah, it's like a gym. Who needs a gym membership when you're doing that? Yeah. It's like send everybody a barely mold and say, here you go, make 10 figures a week and you'll lose weight. $10, make 10 barleys a week and you're on your way and some extra.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can't wait to get
a hard one. And like all the fiberglass of the outside of the like mold, I didn't know how to make it as clean. It works great, but my hands were cut up. I was bleeding super bad after that. Like it was one of the more damaging toy things I've ever.
Like it.
You need some work gloves.
Yeah. You need some like some chainmail or something. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Construction glove just for a barely job.
Yeah.
I usually just use thin nitrile, but that wouldn't have helped at all for this.
Didn't realize how much work barely available put people through. Man.
Yeah. No, he's basically just a slaver.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
So Jason hides behind that nice guy persona. Got it.
I figured that. He's
Got
like, no, pick it up. 10 more rotations now. I could see it.
No, Jason is definitely one of the sweeter people. He's like
No,
you
he's a
guys
great guy.
during that time period when I was having a really rough time. He was like, "Big barrelies, what are big barrelies? They don't exist." So it was definitely able to put that out of my head and get back to it when I was stable again. So he's definitely one of those people I've got to give huge praise to, who paid for a job and actively watched me lose my mind and was still okay with me just being a human and not freaking out about his job.
Well, it's because he's a great guy. And
Right.
No,
that's
yeah,
why, that's
Jason-
the way that's unfortunately when you see the internet and you see everything today, not all people are that way.
Obviously.
But that's the way people should be, right? At the end of the day, we want to be able to work with you. And what's more important is as a friend first.
Yes.
Because
No,
that's what you're doing, right? And then that's the relationships you're building on. That's like everybody in this screen, every face I see, everybody in this chat, it's the same way. And so that's what's important. It's like, don't worry, if you take whatever time you need, because want to work with the best, you need to be the best, and you need to be the best by taking care of yourself.
I
Amen.
appreciate that, and I really think our toy community is good at acknowledging that. I don't know if all of us are good at giving ourselves the breaks we deserve.
That's true.
Because it's hard when your toys also relate to your house life and you're a collector on top of a toy designer, and your home life is still toys away from your work life, which is toys. So I can recognize when we all get a little obsessed, but I think it's in a very positive light. But yeah, I could be a good example of don't get too obsessed and don't stay up for 6 days.
Yeah, don't do that. That's probably.
I'm actually a little
easiest-
impressed, by the way. 6 days is impressive.
Yeah, it led to full delusions and hallucinations.
Sure, but I can't stay up 6 hours sometimes. So.
Effect at that point.
I'm in a constant state of tired, and that just made me more tired. Just
Right,
thinking
exactly,
about it.
exactly
Can't
my
imagine.
point.
Yeah. So anyway, super happy you're here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We are over. Robbie, we got to show the 3D sack. We'll have to actually do a sack next week. This was fascinating. I do have to ask you one more question. I'm asking everybody who casts. And this is something that I haven't quite learned. I have ideas. How do you suspend glitter in clear resin without it sinking to the bottom or sitting to the top or going to places in the face? How do you do that? Oh, see, she probably had a perfect answer and locked up.
Oh, you guys back? Sorry.
There you go. Yeah. Did you hear my question?
I think you said, how do you suspend stuff in resin?
How do you suspend glitter? The glitter.
So that it
I
doesn't
see a lot of people
like
having glitter all the way through the resin at all levels without it settling in the ears and faces, hypothetically.
So some of that is timing, and some of that is like the choice that you're using in resin. So Alumilite would be my favorite for holding glitter because it is naturally a thicker viscosity, so the glitter will have a harder time falling.
Well, there you go.
And then the other thing you're going to want to do is buy the smallest possible glitter. Glitter Hippo makes a micro glitter, which is like 1/24th of a millimeter or something like that, and they float beautifully. To like just kind of suspend and float and just look like a thing. But a lot of it is going to be like mix your resin, pour in your A, get it all the way mixed, and then right as you're about to throw it into the mold, dust some glitter in there. So don't let it be fully submerged in the resin the whole time, because as that resin coats it, it'll want to fall. But if you have a little bit of air touching those little bits of glitter, and when you mix it in, it has one tiny micro air bubble on that glitter, it'll help it kind of keep lifted until that resin is now thick enough from it curing that it can't fall anymore.
Yeah.
So I usually add my glitter right before I pour it into the toy or into the mold, like right after I've fully mixed A and B together.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Top with glitter and then pour it in.
Okay.
Or I
That
may
makes
just
sense.
quickly mix the glitter in by a couple rotations, but I don't want it to be in there the whole time, or else it'll get like soaked with the resin and become heavy and want to fall.
That's a great tip. I never thought about that point.
I hope that
Good to know.
helps. I don't know exactly. It could be that
I
your
think
the glitter's just too heavy, and no matter how many times you get it to work, it will always fall. So
Well, I hope you can get back to your Twitch account, because I'll tell you, as somebody who's looked at YouTube University for resin and casting, it all seems to be only done in the jewelry business, which is much smaller than we deal with.
yeah,
Not much on the toy business, and so I think it'd be an interesting list of videos you can create out there.
I want to get back to it. Like I used to do like a once a week lesson, and then I would have 228 Tuesday because like a lot of my artwork started in the graffiti and like sticker communities. So I did the 228 labels from the post office. I would do a 228 Tuesday, which is where I customize labels for people in their own like artwork that they wanted. So those were the 2 Twitch shows I usually did. So I hope to start those back up in like mid-June, July, but we'll see how well my whole life like fits together to actually make that come together. But
hi, Eva. Well, hey, again, we're past the top of the hour. STS guys are live. We usually raid into them as soon as the end of our show. Thanks again. Anybody else have any last questions here that they want to throw out there, or have anything? Any comments?
No, make sure to check out her shop though. I've been posting links for it. Lots of stuff there.
Okay.
Yeah, go check it out. And if you're gonna make a toy, she's the best for sure. So
I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on, and thanks for working with me, even though I woke up 5 minutes before I was on this show.
That's what. Hey, pro tip: sometimes we don't have a show till 30 seconds before the show. So I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, let's. I woke up and I was like, "Oh no, the show! When is it?" But I didn't have my phone died while I was asleep. It was a very chaotic morning in the first couple of minutes of my day. I'm glad I made it. It's been so much fun.
We are just a group of people that just hang out. This is like our bowling night, or whatever. This is what we do. So.
Well, anytime you want me back, I would gladly come back on the show.
Absolutely, we will take you up on that for sure. Thank you so much, man.
Well, yeah.
All right, we're gonna kick off a
Hi,
raid
everyone.
to SPS guys now. Let's get this going. All right, and again, check her out. Clint already linked all the URLs. Go make sure you check out Largent art.
It says you might lose your best friend because of it. I don't know. I'm just saying what it says.
Oh yeah. All right. Anyway,
Bean slime replaces everyone's best friend.
Bye, everyone. See you.
See you guys.
Bye.